Hello guys, my name is Juan the Real, and today I want to show you how I go about choosing hairstyles for my original characters and what are some of the things I consider when making those choices. Hairstyle and color are some of the more noticeable traits a character has, which makes them extremely important. Whether you're making a story like a comic book or just designing characters for fun, there are a few things you want to consider when designing a character when it comes to their hair. You can say a lot about a character only using its design without actually having to say certain things. This is called show not tell. And the shape and color of the hair are some of those things that tell your audience what kind of character they're looking at. Now, this is all subconscious. They're not gonna like look at your character super hard and try to figure it out, but it's subconscious stuff that happens when you look at that character. Sometimes you can already tell what kind of character it is just by looking at it and understanding the design. The main thing it shows is their personality, which is extremely important when it comes to creating a whole world. You want your characters to feel organic, so therefore having traits that symbolize their personality helps a lot. And understanding this can take your character designing to the next level. Okay, the first thing I want to show you here is the spectrum of short hairstyles, and I want to show you how the character personality changes as I change the hairstyle. So we're gonna be starting with a more rebellious character and slowly transition him into a more meek or quiet character. It's like doing really weird things with your hair when you're like feeling rebellious or anything like that. And okay guys, so the only one problem with this is that I'm very slow at drawing. So I'm gonna get assistance from a friend and then have him draw it, and then I'm just gonna narrate what's going on. So here he is. He's a really fast drawer with this little pause here. He loves to draw. He draws so fast. You think it's a time lapse, but it's not. It's just this guy right here. He draws super fast. He goes like I'm gonna leave it in your paws, alright? Go get him, Tiger. Get to it. Here we're going for a rebellious character. And to do that, we want to have zero direction on the hair. Pretty much as if you were to wake up and did not care about fixing your hair at all. You can see this, for example, in Bakugo from My Hero Academia. His hair literally has no direction and is very rebellious, and his personality matches perfectly. You want to save this kind of hair for characters who do not care about what other people think, or at least want to make it seem that way. Now this character is completely different. This is a clean haircut. You want to keep it very simple. You want to give the hair either one or two directions, no more than that, and stick to those about 90% of the time. You do want to have a couple strands of hair that do not follow those directions just to make it feel organic. A good example of this is Eren from Attack on Titan. He's a soldier above all things, and his character design says that about him. Here again, we have a hairstyle that's very messy, but this time he has a haircut, a mohawk in this scenario. This is pretty much saying, I did not care this morning about my hair, but every few weeks I go to get a haircut because I'm not an animal. A good example of this is Tsumugu from Kill la Kill. He's clearly an outlaw. You can see that like his character design, but it still operates under his own code. If you've seen Kill la Kill, he has his own moral code, and he follows that to the teeth. And that's the kind of character you want to save this kind of hair for. Okay, right here we're going for a character that might still have a bit of a messy hairstyle, but the hair has a single direction instead of simply being all over the place. For this one, you want to think of characters like Kira from Death Note. The hair is clearly still messy, but it does have a direction, and Kira's case, straight down. This is for characters that are composed, but also might have a rebellious or dark side to them. This is my spectrum for short hairs. You can clearly see a progression from a more rebellious personality to a more, what I like to call Boy Scout kind of personality. Okay, so now we're gonna do something very similar to what we just did, but this time for long hair. For this example, we're gonna be using female characters instead of males. For this spectrum, we're gonna go from someone who's like a free spirit, again, with messy hair, and to someone who's more composed, maybe more disciplined. A good way to see it is like from a hippie to a soldier. We're gonna go from that transaction. So once again, here he is. Okay, now for this hairstyle, I wanted to go for something super messy. Like I said, this character that is going to be like a free spirit, So I give it like a really messy curly hair. If you want your characters to be a free spirit, going with a messy curly hair is definitely the way to go. I could not actually come up with an example from the references that I know, but here's one of my original characters, Cyrus. I wanted to give him the impression that he's a bit of a savage. So I went for a super messy and long hair. He does not care to fix it or cut it at all. Now for this one, I was going for a super disciplined character. Clean tight hair is a great symbolism of discipline. Going back to Kill la Kill, Satsuki is a great example of this. She's probably the character with the most composure for the first half of Kill la Kill, and her character design screams composure, although it's not tied like in my example. There's one problem with this kind of hairstyles, and that is that they don't show much personality. They are a little bland. Now for this hair, I'm going for the same looseness that I put on the first character, but now I'm giving it a definite hairstyle. In this case, it's a ponytail, but it doesn't have to be that. It could be any other kind of hairstyle that allows to show a little messiness. In the case of Biscuit from Hunter x Hunter, it's pigtails, and it allows the messy hair to stay under control. In Biscuit's case, she has a bit of an explosive personality. She is mellow until she's not. Now for this one, I do know I said long hair, but I decided to go for a shorter hairstyle here because when a character has short hair, it says she or he wants to keep a clean look but does not want to deal with the hassle of long hair. This is more specific to female characters. A great example of this is Mikasa from Attack on Titan. She's part of the military, so having long hair would be a hassle to keep under control, and that would actually not fit her personality if you've ever watched Attack on Titan. This could also be just a loose bun, like Risa Hawkeye from Full Metal Alchemist. Same idea here. So this is the spectrum for long hair. I think you can clearly see what I was going for here. I hope you guys understand what I'm trying to explain here. Okay, now that you know what hairstyle you want for your character, now it's time to choose the color for it. It becomes kind of simple when you're trying to create like a realistic kind of story, choosing hair color, because you want to keep it very simple. You want to go with your blacks, your browns, your blondes, redheads, anything like that. And you don't really have to think about symbolism. You gotta think more about like ethnicities and stuff like that. That should guide your hair color when it comes to making a realistic story. But when you're trying to make a fantasy story, it changes completely. You can have any kind of color you want. You see this a lot in a lot of animes. They just have the weirdest colors. You can see it right here with Perseus. He has blue hair. It doesn't make sense. No one has blue hair or pink hair or. And the way you want to go about choosing colors in that scenario is by two different ways. You either want to base it in if they have powers, you might want to base it on that, because if you have like a firebender with blue hair, it doesn't really go well. Aesthetically speaking, although it can be pulled off if you wanted to, but it helps to have it make sense. And the other way, if your characters do not have like any kind of powers or superpowers or anything like that, the way you want to go about choosing hair colors, if you're open to using weird colors, is by symbolism. The color spectrum represents different kinds of emotions. So for this section right here, I'm just gonna show you like a list of the colors and what their symbolism are, or some of the symbolisms I'm aware of. You can always just look up this stuff online. There's a bunch of charts online. You just look up color symbolism on Google and then you'll find a bunch of them. So red hair. If you want to do it based on powers, you want to go obviously with a fire one. That's probably going to be your best bet. If you want to base it on somebody's powers, somebody that has fire powers, then you can go with red. That's the case for my character, Atlas. He has the power of fire, so he gets red hair. Now for the symbolisms, that could be passion, love, excitement, danger, or it could also mean aggression. Any of these emotions or aspects that you want to use, it could really be done well with red. Now for orange. Orange is very similar to red when it comes to power, but maybe you don't want to use it necessarily for fire. Maybe you can use it for like some other kind of heat-based power, and that works out nicely. And now for the symbolism, orange is kind of interesting because you have complete opposites. You either have like a humorous character or a very jolly character with orange, or it also represents frustration or greed, which is very interesting when it comes to orange. Now yellow. For powers, yellow, you might want to go with like a light base power or an electricity base power. That yellow works nicely with both of those, although they are very similar kinds of powers. The symbolism for yellow is it can represent wealth, creativity, but it could also represent depression and cowardness. Now for green, that one's very obvious when it comes to the powers. Any nature-based powers, you might want to go with the green hair color. And again, very obvious, green symbolizes nature, peace, balance. It also symbolizes jealousy, sickness, and same as orange, a little bit of greed there too. Now again, blue is very simple when it comes to powers, very obvious. You want to use it for water-based powers, maybe ice type based powers depending on the shade of blue. Maybe a lighter blue you can have also for wind, anything like that. It symbolizes intelligence, calmness, also coldness and depression. Purple, when it comes to powers, it can symbolize like magical powers and stuff like that. It works nicely with that, like witches and stuff like that. Purple is usually the way to go. It symbolizes royalty and wisdom, and which is pretty much why it helps with the magician kind of characters, because both of those usually go hand in hand. But it also symbolizes arrogance, which goes hand in hand with royalty and stuff like that. Like I said, these are just a few examples. There's endless amounts of charts in Google if you just look up color symbolism. Also, this is not just for hair. This is just general symbolism color. You can use it for clothing, eyes, anything like that. It works actually the same way. Okay, so now I'm just gonna do a full drawing here and try to utilize what I taught you here in this lesson. What I want to draw is two very similar characters to showcase some of the things I mentioned. What I was going for was maybe two brothers that work at the same place, maybe like a restaurant. They work as waiters, and they were going to take a break at the same time and enjoy the same snack, but acting completely different while doing so. One worried about the noodles being too hot, the other one went straight for it while judging his brother. I wanted to show their personality with their design and enhance it with their hair choices. I went for a shade of green at the beginning for the hair color. I did not like the way that turned out, so I decided to change it for a dark blue tone. I hope my explanations in this video of these concepts was helpful and clear. Now, all the things I ramble on about are not rules. They are suggestions. If you go with a hairstyle that shows rebelliousness, doesn't mean your character must be rebellious. All it means is that if you're making a story, you may want to contradict this with actions and personality, and this allows for character depth. If you're writing a story like a comic, this is useful to know mainly for side characters, because you will not always have time, or it won't be productive for the story to explain every character's personality, so showing it through his or her design works beautifully. By the same token, you do not want to reveal your main character's current personality through its design. You want to make his or her design organic. I'm going to use Naruto as an example here. Naruto's hair suggests rebel, which fits in with his personality at the beginning of the show. Now, however, when he grew out of his rebelliousness, but kept the hair, again, it shows character depth, and it creates a little contrast with this design and its personality. You might want to do something similar with your main characters. It makes your characters seem more organic and makes them feel alive. But like I said, this is a better idea for main characters. Also, the other thing you want to keep in mind is contrast. Making everything very straightforward is not interesting. So if your characters are exactly the way their design suggests, they become boring themselves. So consider a little contrast when designing characters for a story. Now, I want to thank all of you sincerely for watching this video and also for all the support I got on my previous video. It means the world to me knowing that people enjoy my content. So thank you once again. If you have any suggestions for the content I'm putting out, if you have any criticism or anything like that, feel free to leave it in the comments. I would love to hear your opinion. Check out my Twitter and my Instagram right here. I'll link them down in the description. Consider subscribing if you like the content. Next video, I'm going to be talking about how I go about drawing eyes and how I choose different shapes for different eyes for different characters. So again, thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you next time.